Hey guys, Mike B. Rolling here again. I had a guy ask a question. He was leasing or renting a two-axle flatbed, and he was asking me to go over the different trailers and the weight and the permits and things like that. And I thought, well, I'll do a refresher video. And I thought, well, I'll sit in the house and do it. And well, my kids are still sound asleep in there, so I'll come out here on my little perch in the garage and in the house, I was going to use a whiteboard and everything and draw it all out. And I thought, nah, I'll just wing it. I got it all up here. Uh, but yeah, I'll break it down. All I can tell you about is Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan. That's my running area. That's kind of the steel, the main hub of steel. Uh, and so you've got your two axles, with your standard tandem cluster on the back of a flatbed, you're allowed 34, and then 34 on your drives and 12 on your steers. Standard truck, 80,000 pound gross. With your 10-foot spread flatbeds, you're allowed 40,000 on the back of the trailer. So you're allowed 40 on the trailer, 34 on the truck, 12 on the steers. The adjustment thereof, but 80,000 gross. Then you get into heavy haul, you buy permits. And that's just, there's permits clear up to bazillions of pounds. There's all kinds of permits, but the only permits that I deal with are the heavyweight permits. I don't go oversized, over dimension, because he was asking about step decks and removable goosenecks and the differences between the two. As far as I know, I've never pulled step deck or removable gooseneck overweight. So I'm not positive on this, but as far as I know, all the same laws apply to those trailers as they do a regular standard flatbed in Indiana. Everything I'm talking about in this video is Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, and I think Tennessee too. But I've never run down to Tennessee. Don't care to. Uh, but so you're allowed up to 80,000. You have to have a heavy haul permit. With that permit, I can go up to a gross weight of 120,000 pounds. In Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, those three, you can go up to 120,000. That's it on the permits that we're buying. Now, you can get, like I said, with the removable gooseneck step deck, you got wide loads. You can go way up higher in the weights, but then you're talking escorts, police escort, things like that. There are higher level permits than what we buy to haul steel. But we don't do oversized, over dimension. We do overweight, just strictly overweight permits. So that's where your axles come into play. In Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, all three states pretty much have the same. They've kind of linked everything together, and they've got about the same laws. Michigan, they're the assholes. They're the ones that they make these laws that say you want to haul big weight, put on a bunch of axles, and we'll give you plenty of rope to hang yourself with. And that's exactly the way they do. In Michigan, you're only limited. You don't have to have any overweight permits in Michigan. You set your gross weight on your IRP license plate in Michigan for whatever you think you can haul. And then the trick is Michigan is an axle state. You can permit yourself, on the IRP, you can put 150,000 if you want. Doesn't mean you can haul 150,000. It all depends on how many axles you can fit under your trailer. With a 6-axle setup, I could go upwards of 134,000 pounds. Doesn't mean I can axle that. If I put 134,000 gross, if I put, say, I don't even know the numbers on that. So what would that work out to? 37. It's too early to math. If I put 92,000 pounds on the deck, and I'm trying to just stay under the 134, and then they pull me over, and they're not going to worry about my gross weight. They're going to weigh each independent axle and make sure I'm not overweight on those axles. They're going to find one. I promise you, they're going to find one axle. You either got a little too much air in your lift axles. You're either going to have a little too much in this one or not quite enough in that one, and it's going to put a little extra weight here or a little extra weight there, and that's what they're looking for. They're nitpicking little pricks up there. It's legalized extortion. They'll give you oh sure, you can haul as much as you want. Put 8 axles under that trailer and load her to the hill. And then they pull you over and weigh your axles. And personal experience. When I first got into heavy haul, story time. When I first got into heavy haul, I had a 3-axle, 310 spread. So it was 3 axles. Look at that. I couldn't do that. 4 days ago before I started the carnivore. That's awesome. I can actually sit there and spread my fingers. It just feel maybe a little bit of discomfort, but it's damn near, my arthritis is damn near gone already. I'm on day 6. But anyway, 310 spread on the flatbed, which obviously is 3 axles, 10 feet apart. And I didn't have a big monster 120 load because I knew I could only haul like 68,000 on the deck with those. Well, at the time, that's what I thought, because I didn't know the laws as well as I do now. But I had a coil that was like, I think it was 53,000. So I thought, hell, that's plenty. My company told me, yeah, that's with your 3-axle, you'll be fine in Michigan. Just, but here's how I got messed up. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a rookie when it come to heavy haul. That third axle, the back 2 axles are just leveler valve axles. They level out, and whatever it is, what it is. The third axle has a regulator on it, just like all these other lift axles. They got regulators on them. You pressurize them to how much weight you want to put on them. And I asked the guy, this is like the head mechanic, the head guy at our company. I said, hey man, I just happened to look at the regulator on that third axle, and it's got 80 pounds of air on that axle. That seems excessive. Is that right? Oh yeah, that's what everybody runs around here. Yep, that's what they run. So I left it like that, 80 pounds of air. And those old hands, the old hands out there that do heavy haul that watch this video right now, they're grimacing. Oh God, no! But yep, that's what I did. I took him at his word, left out of there with 80 pounds of pressure on that regulator. And I went loaded that coil, and I'm heavy haul. Woo! This is awesome. I'm making the big bucks. And I rolled right across a set of scales in Michigan. Didn't know what I was doing, and bing, they got me bigger than shit. Pulled me over, and I'm like, I can't be overweight. Hell, I've got room for another, 16,000 pounds. Why are they pulling me over? They pulled me around back. Said, driver, what do you got on one coil? Yeah, one coil weighs about X. They went through the whole process. Let me see your bills, your paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Well, while he's in there checking my paperwork, another old boy comes out, and they got a scale. They got your weigh scale. Then you pull around back in the Michigan scales, and they always have a little single axle scale in the back, and that's especially for the heavy haulers. Pull you around back and weigh you 1 axle at a time. Well, long story short, that third axle on that trailer with 80 pounds of pressure on it had 27,000 pounds on that 1 axle because it was over pressurized. So it was taking the weight off the back 2 axles and the truck and putting it pretty much right in the middle of the trailer with that third axle and just taking all the weight, man. Woo, it was bad, real bad. And so he wrote me 2, not 1, but 2 tickets. I was overweight on the axle because you're only allowed 18,000 pounds on them spread axles in Michigan. He wrote me 1 for being overweight on an axle, and then he looked at the side of the tires and looked at the tire rating, the weight rating of the trailer, and I got a 2nd ticket for being over the listed weight rating of the tires for that axle. So not 1, but 2 tickets for the same offense, which to me, I was like, oh, that's a bunch of shit. But anyway, that was like, man, it's like $2,200 in fines. And the company I'm with, and this is something I can't recommend high enough, Legal Shield. Our company uses Legal Shield. It's prepaid legal. You get any ticket, anything, you hand it to an attorney, they take it from there. And they're all over it's a big countrywide network. They're all over. But they saved my bacon, man. They got one of the tickets thrown out, and the second one pled way down, and I paid like $600. And I was like, woo, man, crap. I don't want to do that again. So naturally, me being the researcher that I am, I started studying. It's time to figure out what I can and can't do in different states and what I can get away with and when I need to find alternative routes in separate states, if you know what I mean. But that very first trip with a heavy haul trailer, man, woo, they wrote me up big time. But hey, it's cost of doing business. You write the check, go up, fire up the truck, and go keep on pressing. Cost of doing business. Sometimes you get popped. Every now and then you're going to get popped. You haul heavy, you go into Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, they're going to pull you over. They're not even going to weigh you. They're just going to be like, hey, let me see your permit. There's my permit. Okay, yep, you're good, driver. Have a good one. And that's all they really care about. Do you have your permit? Yes, then pretty much you're good to go. As long as they can look at your bills and see you don't have an astronomical amount of weight on there, you're reasonably within the 120,000, you got a legal permit, you're you're good to go. Have a good day, driver. Michigan, they don't care. Oh, I got him. He's overweight. Pull him around back. And if you get pulled around back in Michigan, the scales hauling heavy, you're getting a ticket. You're going to get a ticket. And it happens. They set up in random places. I'll get back into the more specifics, but Michigan, I can't stress enough how absolutely tyrannical they are up there. They set up random places with DOT. You're driving down the road, and hell, you're legal. Everything looks good, and they'll come up on your left side and look at your tires, fall back, come around the back, come up on the right side, look at your tires, come back behind you, and woo, pull you over. And it's like, I'm legal. I know I'm legal. I'm 15,000 pounds under gross, and there's no way I'm over on an axle. But they're looking at your tires, and if they look like they're squatting, which, point of thing here, make sure you got 110 pounds in all your tires, always, because that's what they're looking for, is the squat on those tires to see, oh, man, he looks real heavy. Oh, you got 110 pounds. Get 16 ply tires, spend the money, just trust me here. Spend the money and get the 16 ply tires. Make sure you've got 110 pounds of air in them, so those bastards are standing up and looking tall and proud even when you're overloaded. You still look legal. You see what I'm saying? So that's a lesson I learned. That's why my truck has all 16 ply tires. They're all virgins, and they're all at 110 pounds. And if I thump any tire and it sounds like it might be low before I ever even think of going into Michigan, I pull over and check. Make sure, that tire's a little bit low. 110, get her back up to 110. Because I don't drive across the scales, but there's state troopers running all around Michigan, and any single one of them will pull you over at the drop of a hat if you even remotely look like you're overloaded. So anyway, we'll get off the kick of Michigan. But so you got Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. They're all pretty much the same on laws. When you go 3 axles on your trailer, and that's the crazy thing. You only need 1 extra axle in order to haul 40,000 more pounds. I mean, where's the logic in that? But that's the law. So if you got a trailer with 3 axles on it, you can haul up to 120,000 pounds. That doesn't matter if the 3 axles are clustered in the back or if it's a 310 spread. It doesn't matter. You could still haul with a permit up to 120,000 pounds gross weight. And the clusters, excuse me, the clusters to me are a disadvantage. The only real advantage they have is with the 3-axle cluster in the rear. In Indiana, you could get like a $20 permit for like 94,000 gross, which is like, if you're, because with that extra axle, you're about 2,500 pounds heavier than a standard flatbed, so you can't quite haul as much. So they got a little loophole in the law that you could go up to like 94. So if you get a 48,000 pound coil, you're going to be way over because of that third axle's making your net weight too heavy, or your tear weight too heavy. So they give you that $20 permit and allow you to go up to, I think it's like 94 or 96, but it's only like $20. And you see a lot of those around here, around Indianapolis. You'll see a lot of the 3-axle clustered in the rears, and they're taking advantage of that permit and hauling, 94, 95, 90, but they can go up to 120. So, depending on where they're going, they'll permit their vehicle accordingly. But that's all you need to do 120 in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. But if you're going to go into Michigan, you've got to have 4 axles, minimum 4 axles, 410 spread, minimum, because you're allowed 18, 18, 18, and 18 on a 410 spread versus, if you're, Michigan's really weird. If you're under 80, you apply, all the laws of the nation apply, which is 34 on a standard tandem flatbed. It's 34, 34, 12, right? Trailer drives steers. If you're a spread, they'll allow you 40 on the trailer, and then 34 on the truck, and then 12 on the steers. As long as you're over 80, you go 1 pound over 80,000, and those 2 axles in the back of that trailer, they roll them back to 18,000 pounds an axle. They roll your drives back to 32,000 pounds, and they leave your steers at 12. So they're just waiting on you to get. They got the law set up so that if you're just a little bit over 80, they can roll you back and write you a nice fat little fucking ticket about 4,000 or 5,000 pounds overweight. It's going to be 4,000 or 5,000 overweight. It's not really that bad. It might be $450, $600 fine, something like that. But that's the way their laws are set up. Is to let you mess up the least little bit, they got you. you know. And that's what it is. It's a gotcha state. Um, that's why a lot of guys don't go to Michigan. They don't want to run Michigan because they don't want to play those games, you know. I myself go to Michigan because our company has a dedicated account coming out of there, and the load's going up into Michigan because a lot of people don't want to go there. They pay pretty good. So it's like, okay, do I stay down here and make average money and compete with everybody, or do I find something that nobody wants to do and get good at it? That's my motto. You want to succeed in business, find out what it is that nobody wants to do, and then just tighten up your belts and get good at it and do it, because you got a lot less competition and you'll succeed typically, as long as you don't screw around. But so yeah, 3 axles. In Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, you can only do 120, period. Michigan, you can do up, depending on how many axles you've got, you can go, to the moon. But don't play around in Michigan until you do a lot of studying. Trust me, that state, they'll get you. They'll get you fast. But Indiana does single trip permits. So every load, 1 permit for 1 load. When that load's done, that permit's done. And they are freaking expensive now. 2 or 3 years ago, they just out of nowhere, 400% gain on quadrupled the price of the permits, just like that. So Indiana's now a very expensive state to haul heavy in. That's one of the reasons I'm looking at putting 2 more axles under my trailer to go 6 axle, because there's a loophole in that law that if you have 6 axles on your trailer, you can get an annual permit. 1 permit good for the whole year for 1 lane, 1 route. Like if I pick up a coil at Nucor and I take it to Nucor in Gent, Kentucky, or something like that, that's 1 pickup, 1 delivery. That's 1 lane. That's 1 permit, $20, but it's good for the whole year if you have 6 or more axles. So that's why you'll see a lot of sleds now coming down into Indiana, because the permits are much cheaper, because they might have 7 axles on their trailer. But the problem with that is those axles each weigh about 2,200 to 2,500 pounds, and you can't haul much. Like you bring a 7 axle trailer down here in Indiana, you can't haul but like 72,000 pounds is where me with my 4 axle, and I've got 1 extra axle because you only need 3, remember, to haul 120, and I have 4 to haul Michigan, so I'm actually 2,500 pounds heavier than these guys in Indiana that just stay out of Michigan, right? So I can haul with my 4 axle about 83.5, and yeah, give or take, depending on how much fuel I've got, but about 83.5 legally is all I could put on the deck to hit 120. Now the same guy come in there, we'll get into that later. So yeah, that's whether it's removable gooseneck or step deck, I think they're the same. But all I deal with is steel, so I don't really worry about what others can do. But yeah, that's Ohio. See, okay, so Indiana does the single trip permit, 1 permit, 1 load. Ohio does quarterly permits per lane. So if you're on a dedicated route, like say you're doing Indianapolis to Detroit, you're going to go up and come out Fort Wayne, go across 24 to Toledo, and then run up either 75 or 23 to get up to Detroit. So you're going to have 1 permit that's a quarterly permit. It's about I think it's about $500, little over $500. But that's just to go from Fort Wayne to Toledo and up. You cannot get off route. And every quarter you have to re-up that permit. So you buy 4 permits a year in Ohio. Kentucky, they do an annual permit, and I think it's $1,200, something like that. But it's good for the state of Kentucky. You don't have to have. I'm not positive on this, but I don't think you have to have an annual permit for each lane. I think it's just for the state of Kentucky for the year. It's $1,200 whatever bucks, and you're good. I don't mess around in Kentucky. I don't really care for that state. They got crazy laws about the KYU number and the 2 cents a mile tax and all this crap, and the main reason I don't like Kentucky is there's just too damn many hills, and I'm heavy as hell, folks. I don't want to burn my truck down trying to pull that weight up them big ass hills, up here in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, or Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. It's not that hilly, you got some hills, but it ain't like Kentucky. But let's see here. So yeah, that covers the permits. I could go on for hours about Michigan, but if you're going to haul heavy in Michigan, just get a 410 spread, or bigger, 5, 6, 7, 8 axle. But it doesn't in Michigan. That allows you to haul as much weight. It's so hot out here, folks. I got a fan sitting right here next to me, blowing on me. I'm sure you all can hear the droning. But if you don't have air blowing on you out here sitting here today, you're sweating. I promise you. And I'm sitting here with air blowing on me, and I'm still sweating. Fat boy is hot. Plus, I just worked on my swimming pool, and I got my beef short ribs. I just put them all, got the smoker all ready, and put them all on there. And ooh, it's going to be so good. But low and slow, baby. But so what was I going to get into? Oh, I tell you, there's a niche out there that I'm actually thinking about switching equipment. I'm actually thinking in the future, not right now while everything's slow, but when things start picking back up and we start running balls out again, I'm actually thinking about either just buying a separate truck and putting a driver in the beast, or just sell, buy another truck, buy another trailer, and then sell off the beast in my trailer, my 4-axle. But what these guys are doing in Indiana is they're going out and buying these 34-foot trailers. They're these new Extreme Trailers is the brand, and they're buying their 34-foot trailers, and they've got a 3-axle cluster on the back. Some of them have 310 spreads under them, but most of them have just a 3-axle cluster in the back of a 34-foot trailer, and then they're buying the smallest trucks they can get, like a International 9400 with a 48-inch flat top bunk and a short wheelbase. Just keep that truck as light as they can, and they're getting their gross weight down below 30,000. I've seen some that are like 26,000 pounds net tare weight, empty tare weight, and they can haul upwards of 90,000 pounds. And the reason that is such a good idea, man, I got something itching on my nose. The reason that's such a good idea is places like, for instance, Nucor in Crawfordsville. They are experts at breaking those coils off right at 45,000. Some of them go, 44.9. Some of them are 45.3 or 45.3. Every now and then you get a 46 out of there, but for the most part, they're right between 44 and 45,000. They've got that dialed in, man. But to haul heavy, for me to go in there and pull heavy, I don't need 45,000. You put two of those together, that's 90,000. It's too heavy. I can't pull it. What I need is for them to make mistakes and pull off coils light that are, say, 41 and 40, just under 42, right? So you put two 42s together, now you got 84. That's within 500 pounds. Yep, I can take that, So that's what we haul as heavy haul, is we get the mistakes, the ones that broke off light, and put the two together. As long as you're under, your 120, you're legal. Well, these guys are out here buying those little 34-foot trailers. They're little micro trailers. Dude, their trucks are almost as long as their trailer. They look kind of funny, but they can still haul 120,000 pounds with those 3-axle clustered trailers. And because they're so light, they can put, I met a guy the other day that could put almost 93,000 pounds on the deck and hit 120. So he could come in there and get two 46,000 pound coils, put them together, and that's 92,000 pounds. He's legal with 92,000 on the deck. It's awesome. But it's a little niche that, because the heavy haulers are all competing for those 41 and 42,000 pound coils, right? But the 45s and 46s, there's so many of them. They're just, even when we're slow, there's so many. I can get single coils going places all the damn time if I wanted them, but it doesn't pay as good, because when you haul steel, this is another thing. When you're hauling steel, it pays by weight. So you want the lightest equipment you can get to haul the most weight you can possibly haul, and it pays by the hundredweight. So if you got a coil that's 45,000 pounds, you break that down to hundreds, that's 450, right? 45,000 divided by hundreds, 450. So your rate is going to be based on, like, say, coming out of Indianapolis area going up to Detroit. You might get anything from $1.80 100 up to $2.05 100. Right now, it's kind of, everybody's got the prices all beat down. It's pretty gnarly out there right now. But when things are running up and running real good, it's nothing to get 215 to 220 100 going up to Detroit. So the way you would figure how much does it pay is, if you've got 45,000 pound coil, divide that by 100, that's 450. You take 450 times the rate, which is say $2. Say it's $2 a hundred, so it'd be 450 times two, $900 to take that coil up there. Single coil. I'm doing 2 coils, so I'm doing 1,800 to do the same thing as a regular flatbed with 2 axles is doing with 1 coil. Does that make sense? That's why heavy haul pays good. We're all making the same rate. It's just a matter of how much can you haul. You buy the right equipment and you set yourself up the right way, and you can haul basically 2 loads at a time is what we're doing, and doubling the rate everywhere we go. And that's how we're making the big bucks. So if we go out and work, that's why I was saying in the video yesterday, if I work 2 days, I made a whole check of a guy that's pulling a 2-axle trailer. I made his whole check, and for him working 5 days, I did that in 2. And then I'm home and there's nothing else to do. But when I get a full week of work, it takes him 2 weeks to make what I made 1 week. When I get my dog was all over me earlier, and I think I got a dog hair somewhere tickling my nose, something fierce. But yeah, that's that's how the heavy haulers are making the weight. It's all the same rate. It's just a matter of how much can you haul. But I'm thinking real seriously that when things start picking back up, of going and buying like of course it'll be 2000 or older, 99 or older, because I run paper logs and I wouldn't have it any other way. And as far as I know, I think they postponed that ruling till sometime in 2025. So we got at least another year of it, before they go and put their Nazi boots on our throats. But now with the passing of the Supreme Court overturning that Chevron deference law, that means they can't. The Department of Transportation no longer has the authority to unilaterally pass a law saying, oh, now everybody's got to have. They can't do that. That Chevron deference law takes that authority away from all these 3 other agencies. They cannot just make their own rules and call it a law and enforce it across the country. It's not a law unless it goes through the legislature and they vote on it and the president signs it. Then it is a law. So yeah, all those codes and laws and whatever. That's what I'm saying. The next few years are going to be interesting, man. I think they just deregulated basically the entire country. All these crazy rules and regulations that the EPA has put on these trucks for emissions and DEF and DPF. I'm pretty sure all of that's getting ready to go bye-bye, because that wasn't voted in the legislature. That was just a law that the EPA decided, yep, we're going to make this a law. Well, you don't have the authority, folks. Sorry. But so yeah, they're going to have to go on the books and start cleaning out laws of all these so-called laws that never were signed into. They weren't made a law properly by the legislature. They were just unilaterally, yep, this is going to be a law starting today. EPA passed the rule. No. EPA, you don't have the power. Sorry, sit down and shut up, Junior. It goes to the legislature. So anyway, everything's getting ready to change. It's going to be very interesting next couple of years. I really think so. But personally, I think they're setting the stage for the Trumpster to come back in and just absolutely break this economy loose and get rid of all these. I mean, there's no other way to say it. These are just some. It's not politics that we're looking at anymore. It's good versus evil. I'm sorry, but whether you're religious or not, these are not normal people, and they're not fighting for normal things. They are some satanic, evil, just vile human beings that are running things right now. We got to flush them out, folks. The tree of liberty needs some blood to refresh its roots. I'm sorry, but I really think we're getting ready. We're going to see some kind of an American Revolution. Very, very likely. But yeah, that's it in the handbag. Is name of the game is get, if you want to stay out of Michigan, just get 3 axles on your trailer, and whether it's a cluster or a 310 spread, either way. One advantage to having the 310 spread on your trailer is it spreads the weight more evenly and it rides a lot better. You're not belly loading that trailer and just all that pressure just flexing on that trailer. That third axle being in the middle of the trailer really supports your frame rails. So in my mind, it's a lot better on your equipment to have a 310 spread. The downside to that is every time you turn a sharp corner, you got to pick that third axle up to make your corner, set it back down. So you're always flipping a switch on your dash to pick that axle up, made the corner, now I'm straight, put that axle back down. And if you forget to put that axle back down and roll on down the road, which every single heavy hauler, I don't care who you are, we've all done it. I've done it many a time. Make a turn, make an exit ramp, and talking on the phone, got my hands free set on, I'm talking on the phone, and I lifted my axles to make the turn, forgot to set them down. And I'm going 10, 15 miles down the road, and I'm like, Jesus, why is this thing so rough? What the heck? Then I look down at my air gauge, and I've got 85 pounds of pressure on my truck drives. Holy shit, I forgot to put my axles down. Psh, flip a switch, and you look back, and it looks like an airplane touching down. Those tires touch down and then pressurize up, and then everything just levels out, smooths out, spreads that weight out nice and evenly, and it's like, I hope nobody saw that. I hope nobody was watching. But yeah, we've all done it, and you will too. So, but yeah, that's kind of a breakdown of weights and permits and whatnot. Like I said, the Michigan annual permit I think is 120 or 1,250 bucks, something like that for the year. Ohio, depending on your lane, and it's a matter of how much weight and the distance of the lane. Like, say if you're coming out of Detroit and you're going down into Kentucky, I think that's a pretty pricey freaking permit, because you're crossing over at Toledo and then you're going all the way down 75 to Cincinnati. That's a good little stretch there. That may be a $600-700 quarterly permit. I don't know. I've never bought one. The one that I buy, to me, is overpriced. I come in at Fort Wayne and then go across 24 to Toledo and then straight up to Detroit. And just that little corner right there of Ohio cost me $550 a quarter. So, or $500 a quarter. So it's $2,000 a year to have that permit to be able to haul heavy through there. Like I said, Michigan, you don't buy permits. It's all done on your IRP, and they're looking for axles. So it's if you're going into Michigan with 80,000 pounds, you better have 4 axles on your trailer. If you're going into Michigan with maybe you only gross weight, you're only like 90,000 pounds, 3 axles is fine if that's all you're doing. But don't try to take a 3-axle trailer into Michigan and load it up to 120,000 and sneak out of Michigan. That's what they're waiting for. That's what they're watching for. They see a 3-axle coming out of there, and I promise you, there could be 50 trucks on that road, flatbeds, hauling steel. And if there's a 3-axle trailer, it's 310 spread, or a 3-axle cluster, forget about it. You are guaranteed you're getting pulled over. 310 spread in Michigan in a group of 50 trucks, that's the one they're going to pick, because they know that you're probably brave enough to put 83,000 pounds on the deck, and I just got to get out of Michigan, then I'm legal. So I'll just sneak out of Michigan, and I'll just, that's what they're looking for, folks. I see them all the time pull over on the side of the road, and that truck driver, they're nervous because they know they got a big old ticket coming. They're legal to haul with a 310 spread. I think they can only haul about 68,000, and they're coming out of there with 84. Yeah, they're overloaded. Just a little. But yeah, so that's, you could try it. If you get away with it, good on you. You don't get away with it, make sure you got a pen full of ink, because you're gonna be writing a check, folks. And they ain't cheap. But that about covers everything as far as the axles and the weights goes. If you got more questions, or if you want to go into more detail on any specific topic in there, just post it in the comments, and I'll crank out another video. But I'm under pressure. My daughter's wanting to leave, and I'm sitting here next to the car, so I got to sign off of here and finish this up. But you guys like and subscribe to the video, and keep them questions coming. I'll talk to you later.